there, welcome to section B, exercise 15 of What Can I Paint Next art course. This is going to be applying the 5 W's to a landscape. I was really happy to actually do this exercise with this particular picture. The landscape, I took the landscape from a recent trip to Kefalonia in Greece, where there were just so many things I could have painted. It was overwhelming. I had views everywhere. I even did some sketching of views, and I thought, but it's not what I actually want to paint at the moment. There were so many paintings that I could have done. So I actually went through this process of who, why, what, where and when, and really honed in on what I'm actually trying to say and who am I saying it to. And I found it really useful. I'll explain where I got up to. So, when you're doing a landscape, the who section, you've got a choice. You've got people who already know the place that you're helping them remember the place, or people who have never been and you're describing that place to, or you're describing a feeling of the place to. In this case, I looked at trying to describe the feeling of tranquility in the holiday. It was a sail. I'll show you the picture that I'm going to be working from here. Now, I don't usually work from photographs. I like to be there and do sketches, and I did lots of sketches. Did this sketch and this sketch, but it didn't capture what I wanted to. And then a friend that I made on the holiday sent me this photograph of our boat, and I thought that's where I'm getting my inspiration from. So in this case, it's going to be a photograph. So the who is going to be people who have been to the Mediterranean and know that feeling of tranquility, or are enjoying my recollection of that feeling. Why am I painting it? This also blew my mind, because I'm like, well, there's so many reasons for painting it. So what I decided to do was actually really pin this down. And as was mentioned in the notes in exercise 14, you can split it into 3 things. Materials, where you're actually exploring the paint, you're exploring the pencil, so you're doing a picture to explore the materials. Or you can explore the fundamentals, looking at tone, looking at colour, looking at composition, all these things. Line, you could do a line drawing and really focus on the line, trailing round, making a path. Or you can explore the idea, the tranquility of the boat. And I thought, right, well, if I just explore tranquility by itself and just do a copy of the photograph, I might as well just have taken the photograph. And it was that idea of the water, the tranquility of the water. So I am going to be concentrating on the materials of acrylics and trying to portray tranquil water with an exploration of the materials. That is my aim in this. So why am I doing it? I am exploring acrylics to portray tranquility. What am I doing? I'm doing a boat, floating boat on water. Where is it? Where it is actually quite important, because this is in the Mediterranean. It's not a rough sea. It's got the Mediterranean coastline in the background. So you're actually taking that into consideration. And when is it? It's at sunrise. The sun is just coming up. And with all this in mind, I'm now going to go to my planning sheet. Section B, exercise 15, planning sheet. Who am I aiming this painting at? People, reminiscing, I think I've spelled that right, about the Mediterranean, and people looking for a tranquil picture. Why? Why am I painting it? It was a choice between the materials. Am I exploring materials? Am I doing fundamentals? Or am I following an idea? I'm really concentrating on the materials to give the feeling of water. You can mix the three together, but that's what I'm really concentrating on, so the painting doesn't get foggy with too many ideas. Why am I painting it? Exploring acrylics to portray tranquil water. Because that in itself is going to be difficult enough without trying to get hidden meanings and stuff into it. What am I painting? A sailboat on water. Where is it? The Mediterranean. And when is it? Sunrise. Right, sources. Where am I going to get my sources from? Photographs. A single photograph. That's the only source I have, really. I actually, no, I tell a lie. I do have some other videos and photographs of around the same time that I took, but this particular one is the one I'm going to work from. I don't want to do a direct copy. It's the water I'm interested in, and sketches. So I'm going to look at water texture and describing using acrylics. I'm going to do some paint testing just to see if I can get that feeling of water in a tranquil way. I don't want to do a realistic view of the photograph. I want to portray it using the acrylics. I'm going to play with the acrylics to see if I can get that watery feeling. So that is where I'm going. I'm going to do some sketches of how to get the water feel, and then I'm going to do a whole painting trying to get that across to people. I'm also going to gesso a piece of paper in this sketchbook so it acts more like the surface I'm going to be using. Right, I'll get on with that. I'll see you in a bit. All right, I'm ready to do a bit of experimenting. Split my page into 4. First thing I'm going to do is just very quickly on all 3 of them. I've gessoed the page. Sorry, all 4 of them. Yes, I can count. Just going to quickly put in a little bit of cobalt blue, a bit of sky. Not spending too much time on this because as I said, it's about the water, not about the sky. So obviously in the final painting I'll spend longer on the sky, but it's that elusive water. Just getting like a purpley grey, just to, and then I've got something to work towards or up to. So the first one, I'm just going to paint on what I've observed. There's a light area there. It's a reflection of the land. I'm not putting the boat in, I'm just doing the water. and it sort of seems to dissipate in a curve. Then an orangey, peachy coming through, and then it's like a pale blue. So that's what I've observed happening coming down, dead straight. What I want to do is do a representation of that that's tranquil and tidier. I do all the way across, quite thick. I'm going to try having a go with a palette knife, because after all, I might as well have a go with a palette knife because I am experimenting with the materials. So I'm going to that's worth looking at a bit more. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. I am by no means proficient in palette knife. I've used it a few times before and that's it. So this is as much of a journey as it can get, really. Right, so I've done sketches. I did a what can I see sort of sketch, and then I did it in brush, then I did it in palette knife, and then I changed the colour scheme in the palette knife. And I've got an idea of which way I'm going, and I'll be able to put the boat in and things like that afterwards. Probably stick with the palette knife with that. That's going to be fun. We'll see what happens. Right, I'll let that dry and I'll get on with the painting. So what I'm trying to do with the palette knife is, rather than just copying the photograph, telling the viewer this is what it was, I'm trying to portray it rather than just copy it. With a link to language, instead of saying the man was tired or the lady was tired, you'd say that they had a drawn face, their shoulders were stooped. So you are showing rather than telling. That's what I'm trying to do in the painting now, is rather than just do a straight copy and say, look, it was really tranquil, I'm trying to do that in the actual application of the materials. To a certain extent as well, I am working a little bit from imagination. I'm using the photographs as reference, but it's how I'm imagining it to be rather than doing a straight copy. It's a good exercise to do. And here's the finished painting for exercise 15, Tranquil Anchor. I'm not sure if I actually absolutely nailed the tranquility that I was after, but I definitely got the experimenting with materials. I mentioned you could go with exploration of materials, exploration of one of the fundamentals, or exploration of an idea. This is really different to my normal work. A lot of my normal work is on the third one, exploration of an idea. And when you're overwhelmed, you have your subject, but it's like, right, how do I tackle it? Hone in on one thing. You will find that if you go from concentrating on materials to concentrating on an idea to concentrating on a fundamental, the feel of your work might be different. This is nothing like what I usually do. But as an exercise, as a trying something different, it's really important to keep learning about what you're using, keep learning about the tools you can use. And every time you pick up something new, it adds to your arsenal of tools that you can use in your paintings. I might not do another palette knife painting for a while, but I've picked up a few things in this about the acrylics that I'm using that I may actually take in and just every now and again get a palette knife out to do a certain thing. So always worth doing, always worth trying. That's the end of the 5W questions. In exercise 16, what we're going to be doing is looking at the acronym PEP, P-E-P, and applying that. And it's taking the 5W questions and condensing them, making them more user-friendly. But it's important to understand the 5Ws before you go into the PEP. So PEP is next. We're going to do exercise 16 is going to be a figure, exercise 17 still life, exercise 18 another landscape. So thanks again for sticking with me, and I'll see you in the next exercise. Thanks a lot. Bye.